The Precabe farm ultimatum, what the generals told Mnangagwa behind closed doors. In Zimbabwean politics, the most consequential decisions are rarely made in the majestic halls of State House or during the scripted choreography of cabinet meetings. They happen in the shadows, on private estates, far from the glare of cameras, where the real brokers of state power lay their cards on the table. As the highly controversial Constitution Amendment Bill number 3, CAB 3, makes its volatile march through Parliament, the political epicenter of the country has quietly shifted. The focus is no longer just on the semantic battles in the legislature, where the ruling faction attempts to spin a 2-year extension into an elongated electoral cycle. The real narrative is unfolding behind closed doors, highlighted by rumored high-stakes showdown at President Emmerson Mnangagwa's private Precabe farm in Kwekwe. This wasn't a standard political consultation. It was an ultimatum from the deep state. The breakdown of the 2017 consensus to understand why the barracks are suddenly pushing back against the ED 2030 project. One has to look back at the unwritten covenant of November 2017. The transition that brought the current dispensation to power was built on an informal understanding of succession, a managed, structured rotation of power that would eventually see Vice President Constantino Chiwenga take the helm. By introducing CAB 3, which seeks to lengthen presidential and legislative terms from 5 to 7 years and dissolve direct popular presidential elections in favor of parliamentary selection, the inner circle effectively attempted to rewrite that script. If passed, the bill guarantees the 83-year-old incumbent stays in power until at least 2030. For the military-linked old guard, this isn't just a violation of democratic principles. It is a direct breach of the internal party contract. The security apparatus views the sudden maneuvering as a consolidation of personal power at the expense of institutional stability. The ultimatum, drawing a line in the sand. The whispers filtering out of the Precabe farm encounter suggest a chillingly blunt exchange between the president and senior defense figures. The message from the barracks was clear. The institutional integrity of the state will not be sacrificed to anchor an indefinite incumbence. The general's grievances extend far beyond succession timelines. The guardrails of the 2013 Constitution, the security apparatus has signaled deep discomfort with the legal acrobatics being used to bypass Section 328, subsection 7. To them, forcing an extension without a national referendum risks completely delegitimizing the state architecture on both a regional and international level. The restless ranks, lower tier officers and ordinary soldiers are bearing the brunt of the country's brutal economic realities, while rank and file personnel face eroded salaries and severe daily hardships. The highly visible, hyper-opulent lifestyles of the political elite have created a dangerous undercurrent of resentment within the barracks. The top brass explicitly warned that the military cannot guarantee internal stability if the constitutional crisis triggers widespread civic unrest. The dilution of military autonomy. A subtle but highly controversial clause tucked inside the CAB 3 architecture proposes shifting the military's mandate from upholding the Constitution to merely acting in accordance with it. The deep state views this as a deliberate attempt to weaken the defense forces' historical role as the ultimate arbiters of the state, the very leverage they used during the 2017 intervention. The geopolitical shadows. The pushback isn't happening in a vacuum. Regional heavyweights within the Southern African Development Community, SADC, most notably South Africa and Angola, are watching the Harare chessboard with increasing anxiety. Pretoria and Luanda have quietly made it known that they favor a predictable, stable transition over a chaotic constitutional crisis that could destabilize the entire subcontinent. Furthermore, the domestic resistance has broken through the traditional political divide. A coalition of highly influential war veterans has already taken the fight directly to the Constitutional Court, openly challenging the bill and casting the 2030 agenda as a betrayal of the liberation struggle's core ideals. A vice grip on the presidium. President Mnangagwa now finds himself in an incredibly complex political vice. While his faction has spent the last year aggressively reshaping leadership within the security services, including moving key allies into strategic posts to lock in institutional loyalty, the pushback from the veteran establishment and the core intelligence network proves that the deep state is not a monolith. The Precabe farm ultimatum has effectively stripped away the illusion of absolute consensus. The ruling elite can no longer pretend that the road to 2030 is a smooth, guaranteed highway. The barracks have drawn their line in the sand, and the coming weeks in Parliament will reveal whether the Presidium chooses to heed the warning or risk a chaotic, unpredictable collision with the very forces that built its foundation. To see how these internal fractures are playing out publicly beyond closed door meeting, stay here, Pamzindovan, and we'll keep giving you these things. So, Mre Zimbabwe, ndini wenyu Super Galo. Peace.